Hello and welcome to the E14 Gamecast. I'm your host Rob Wade and I'm joined by Omer Ibrahim.
I don't know.
Thank you, and Brad Harmer.
Dice rolling sound.
Yay!
Ka-ching,
I haven't got any nearby.
no, your dice rolling sound is scatter, scatter. Oh,
bollocks! So, since there are the three of us, I figured we'd just talk about stuff we like recently.
Let's talk about games that are free. No, that's fucking.
Yeah, me and Blake did video games last episode, so we can do tabletop, we can do video both.
Yeah.
So
I completed a video game the other day.
nice.
Yeah, which is the first one for quite some time.
I was going to say you do.
It was Little Mermaid on the Sega Mega Drive.
That underwater cabin now is nails.
Yeah.
I think all of last year I probably beat like 3, maybe 4 games.
I was going to say you do sort of 3-4 games a year.
Yeah, I should do more. I should dedicate more time to video gaming anyway, because I do enjoy it when I do it. I kind of binge. I'll play it every night for a couple of weeks and then put it down
for me, that's Nintendo. That's my relationship with Nintendo systems. Is I'll binge them for a while and then I'll go off them completely. But while I'm binging, I'm having so much fun.
Yeah, sure.
That's kind of how I see that.
I completed Agatha Christie's ABC Murders.
Oh, nice. Okay, how is that?
You play the Sherlock Holmes series, like Crime and Punishments, or the Thriller one, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very much, it's a very enjoyable, perfectly serviceable Sherlock Holmes knockoff, like Poirot.
Yeah.
Seriously, have you read any Poirot?
Not for a while.
It's like Sherlock Holmes fan fiction sometimes.
Wow. Okay.
Even like Inspector Japp is Inspector Lestrade.
Yeah.
He's Watson.
Sorry, Inspector what?
Inspector Lestrade.
No, I thought you just said Inspector Japp.
It's his name.
Is that actually what you said?
Yeah.
I thought it was just some kind of
JAPP. Yeah.
amazing, because that just sounds like you'd never write that these days.
It's probably Dutch or something.
Yeah.
Rather than just like hello.
On that note, there's an Agatha Christie novel called And Then There Were None.
Yes. I know what you're about to say.
But it was previously called 10 Little Indians.
Oh wow.
Prior to that, it was called 10 Little Niggers.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Because the word was acceptable at the time it was written.
I may have
When
to
I
bleep
went
that
to
now.
Ireland?
Really?
We'll see. I don't know.
Really? If it's in historical context?
Well, I suppose it should be alright. I'll have a think about it.
Sense of humor, yeah.
I hear back how it sounds.
Consensus history.
No, it's
When I
true.
went to Ireland once, I saw a person call their 6-year-old son a little clever cunt.
Mm.
And I turned to the person I was with, and they went, "Doesn't mean the same here."
No.
It's like me going, "Oh, you little bastard, you little bugger, you little scamp."
Where was this, sorry?
In Ireland.
In Ireland.
Yeah, it's not a big taboo kind of word to say. It's still pretty.
You wouldn't say it at school, but
No, yeah, but
You wouldn't just jump up in
it would
church
still be
and
like
say-
me calling my child a shit.
Yeah. There were some nice character moments in it as well. Like you
Okay.
actually get bonus points for the character is very vain and very debonair, and you get bonus points for checking your moustache in the mirror.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
that.
What game did that something similar? Duke Nukem Forever had
Yeah.
little extra points for things like checking himself out.
Yeah,
nice.
Doing some like little bit.
Oh,
this
okay.
is Duke Nukem Forever.
Oh, okay.
Doing like bicep curls, just a few, like doing a certain number.
Is that
of
the one that
movements.
took forever to come out? And
It was.
reasonably
I enjoyed it
disappointing?
because the puzzles at least felt contextual as well. Sometimes it was like, here's a box I need to get into, and it's got a Hellraiser type puzzle I need to figure out.
Yeah.
But generally they followed a narrative. I mean, like I played but several years ago. There was a version of ABC Murders on Nintendo DS.
Yes.
And those were more along the lines of, you're a famous detective I've heard so much about. First, convince me of your detective knowledge. A train leaves Aberystwyth travelling at 30 miles.
Yeah, I think that was probably a symptom of, at the time, the Professor Layton games had just been really big hits.
Yeah, very
I think people
much
were
so.
just going, what else can we do? What else can we
Yeah,
do?
and it was okay. But this one definitely felt more like a full fleshed out game. The animation was kind of cell shaded animation, kind of like the old video game 13. It was that kind of effect. And I'm glad I didn't pay full price for it because it was shorter than I was expecting. I think I picked it up on a PSN sale about 15-20 quid, and that was a fair price for it.
Yeah,
if you see it around that measure and you enjoy the Sherlock Holmes game, it's absolutely worth taking the punt.
If you ever do have a chance to play DS games, the Professor Layton games are right.
I've
heard you sing about them.
They're just, they range from the puzzles like you just described, the sort of train leaving Aberystwyth and blah blah blah, to really complicated stuff where it's just like, this is 7+. How
wrote this?
Is this like for fucking Mensa 7-year-olds? So that's the one you've been playing.
Yeah. Just to put it that I'm currently playing Transformers Devastation.
So it's so much fun.
It's ridiculous. Again, it's about cell shade animation. I don't know if it's actually the voice cast or not, but
some of it is. I think
if they're not the official Transformers voice cast, they're very good impressions.
I think some of them are right, and then some of them aren't.
It's a bit busy sometimes, I've found, and for cameras, bigger enemies than Megatron.
Cameras in third-person action games are some of the worst in any video game genre.
And this one, it's more like you're driving a city block. So if you are like you're Bumblebee or Prowl or something like that, and you're driving at high speed, and it feels fast while you're driving, and you're going around lots of tight corners, the camera can't keep up.
Oh, okay.
No. It's a problem with action games generally. Even the stuff that's not car related is like.
I know I opened shops a few times when it was free on PS Plus. A couple of months back. It's good fun.
I mean, some of the cameras that I remember like third persons like Mario and the N64 and stuff like that. Cameras were perfect.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's evidently as the games. I mean, you're talking about speed.
That's because it fixed the camera. Because even though it was kind of third person, you couldn't adjust it. I don't think
you could spin around yourself.
You could spin around yourself,
but then you could lock.
They would choose.
There was a self-centering button.
Yeah.
I remember one
of
them.
Great.
I checked my moustache in the mirror. There was.
Oh God, some of the mystery. Train arrived at 6 o'clock.
It's got the plan, really. She know on this train. She's in a different train. One of the, I think it was the third Rogue Squadron game, but it was the second game on the GameCube.
Yes.
Rogue Leader or
Rebel Strike.
Rebel Strike. Put lights in.
Probably, in the DVD case,
somehow,
spinning. You could. I remember distinctly being able to center the camera on that because you had to do it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Mario had a similar mechanism, but evidently just maybe they've worked on the game so well they've forgotten about the camera.
I think that's true of some games.
It could be.
The old Ninja Gaiden games used to suffer a lot with that, especially because they were quite frenetic pace, and you jumped and you'd sort of dash and zip around. So obviously you have the potential to move quite a large distance in a short space of time, and the camera can sometimes take a while to catch up.
It's also going to get complicated with things like backing up to a building. Let's say if you're in a car and you're looking from behind the car, back up to a building, what does the camera do? Go through the building?
I'm having this problem at the moment. So I'm playing Infamous Second Son on PS4, and it's a fucking great game. I'm having so much fun with it.
I need to catch up. I love the first one, but I missed kind of the other.
Second one's good. There's like a little expansion that goes along with the second one.
Wasn't
there? Yeah, Festival of Blood, I think it's called.
Yeah, it was a vampire.
And then Infamous Second Son's the first PS4 one. And it's so good and so much fun, but at the same time, the camera is sometimes a fucking nightmare. Like you're running up a building. There's a power that lets you run straight up buildings, and it's breathtaking. But you get stuck under a balcony, and the camera goes, "I know where you need to be. You need to see his knuckle." So it's just zooms right in on their hand. It's fucking hell.
World of Tanks does a really weird one because you use the camera to point the gun. So you have the right stick to use the tracks, the left stick to turn the turret and move the gun arm down, right?
Okay.
So wherever you're pointing the gun, like the turret will catch up with your aiming reticule because the turret can't move at light speed, right? So, but if you back up, so say I'm pointing dead ahead and I back up to a building, the camera will climb the building. It'll go up above your tank rather than go through the building, It will climb the building, but then what that does is pushes your camera view down so your gun turret aims at the floor. So if you're trying to snipe over something, and then you back up to the hill and there's a rock behind you, camera goes up, and your gun points down at the floor,
and you fire.
And then you fire, and if you're playing on a difficult mode, you'll shoot a friendly tank. On PC at least, you can't do it on Xbox.
So you can do the more dangerous thing on PC. That seems awesome.
Well, it's weird that they.
I think they'd be safe spaces.
On the mobile game, they took away friendly fire. Because too many people were. It's 7-on-7, and too many people were raging because there's kids playing it on the mobiles, right? On PC, you can friendly fire. So here's the thing: on the Xbox version, so on the console version, I'm guessing PlayStation is the same. You can't friendly fire unless somebody intentionally does something to you. So I was driving along the other day along like a pier, and another tank sideswiped me with the intent of pushing me into the water. Now. A friendly tank, right? Just being a dick. It's a team game, so luckily I didn't land in the water. I landed on the pier's support, but there was like a mound of dirt under it, so I was on shallow, so the tank didn't sink, and I managed to work my way up around the coast and get up. I'm driving along, getting back into the battle, and I spot him, and I kind of absent-mindedly point the gun and pew, just fuck you, do you know what I mean? And it damaged him. And I was like, oh, but there's no friendly fire. Then I looked at his icon at the top. You get like all the different tanks in.
It just says spell.
It was blue, where everybody else's is like greeny white. and you go yellow if it's you, orange if it's a squad mate.
Okay.
And red is obviously the enemy. But he was like a bluish colour, which obviously meant he'd done something. And then I obviously damaged him, but I didn't go blue.
Yeah.
So it'd obviously been a friendly fire thing. Well, he turned and shot at me, and it bounced. No damage. No friendly fire. So it's obviously, if you fuck someone over, and I ended up killing the guy and taking him out, but I didn't get the -1 and the ban for it.
You get the right to
You get the right to get revenge. Yeah, you take him out of the match. I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, it's an odd mechanic.
Yeah, yes. I don't know how they implement, because obviously if you're driving past me and I turn my tank and I knock you, it's still technically a damaging incident. Like, do I then get a blue mark?
I mean,
I guess then up to the player to work out if they thought it was.
I'm speculating wildly, obviously, because I've never worked for World of Tanks, but I mean, maybe they could measure it by how long they touch your tank
maybe, or if they're aiming at you, what they're looking at, or where their reticule's pointed. If they're looking at you and then they accelerate, they went for you.
Maybe if they were to repeatedly shoot at you, maybe that would change things.
Yeah, maybe so. But if we're both, imagine two tanks sniping on top of a hill, and I spin, a tank doesn't spin on the dot, it goes left or right a bit if you turn him 180. So I could knock you off the perch.
Cheaters, motherfucker.
That's about all I've been playing. Again, I haven't played any new games lately.
Well, we haven't done our Pew sessions recently, have we?
No, we haven't been able to. I just, every now and again, I watch that clip of me and you playing Star Wars Battlefront, and I'm like, I was playing as Imperials, so I'm protecting the AT-ATs, AT-ATs, whatever the accepted way of saying it.
I think
is either one?
I don't think either matters.
Imperial Walker.
Yeah,
it's the only one they say in the movies, isn't it? And you were rebel, so you're trying to take it out. And I see another enemy soldier firing.
Yeah.
And it's just firing up at the AT-AT, and I've got a rocket launcher, so I think I'll take it out. And as I fire, it like not locks, but then I center you in my screen to center the rocket. And up comes your tag, and I'm like, and I'm talking to you, I'm like, hey Rob, watch out. And I just hear, ow. But it was the best thing is that I wasn't looking at you, and I fired across a massive open expanse. It was perfect.
Tabletop-wise, I've been binging 2 games, both of which were new Lovecraft releases. First and second edition, Mansions of Madness.
Great game.
Which is, just, you know it's going to be clever, and then it's far cleverer than you expect it to be.
It's far cleverer than me.
I think it beats us. Yeah.
Well, the app is certainly more technical.
Yeah, I mean, first you don't know, you can possibly open it. It's you played the first edition Mansions of Madness.
Yeah. Well, only once, I think.
Yeah, this one is the table just starts empty, and the app starts telling you what task to lay down. So as you explore the house, the app is telling you what board sections to put down.
Like the VHS version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Almost.
I used to love that style of game. I'm not even mocking it.
No. You need to try this new one because it will blow your mind how clever it is.
It's really good. Really good.
Even like the way the monsters move is driven through a computer, so you can't tell what's being played. There's one which is, I think we completed it, and it was your friend has summoned up to his mansion because he thinks one of the other guests is trying to kill him. Quite hokey setup. We did figure it out. It will randomise each time you play what evidence can be found and who the murderer is.
Yeah,
it was incredible. Yeah, you need to get
it's one of the things. A couple of times I've turned my hand to try to design a simple. I just tried to design a simple gladiator fighting game. So it was, move this many squares, attack with this many dice. And you kind of fall apart when you realise the bits that can get complicated.
Yeah.
How do you do something like that?
It's one of the most important games released in recent years.
It's really impressive.
If that kind of thing explodes, then if
the app's gone wrong for a start.
If that thing kind of takes off, if that thing works, then there's if they manage to get a version of Imperial Assault which does that, you've got a fully co-op Star Wars RPG.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Or you're a big X-Wing player, an app-driven opponent for X-Wing.
You know what? I downloaded an app that's trying. It's unofficial.
That's interesting.
Idea being that you set up your table to measurements, so you have to measure inches as to where everybody is and and it will give like the best maneuver for your opponent to take. So it's very limited. It can't do anything with a 360 arc, but it basically goes, okay, roughly where is it now, and what is it pointing at, and what does it want to shoot? There's no defensive play. It's all aggression. But I kind of gave a little try of it just sitting at the work was quiet the other day, and I just put an X-Wing and a TIE fighter on the table in front of me that I just happened to have that I'd been doing something. And just kind of fiddled about with it, and I was like, okay, like they shoot each other, and then basically all the other one's going to do is just find you and follow you. But I mean, if they did it properly,
I love one-player and co-op games. I think over the past few years, the AI has just gotten better and better, and this is kind of a peak with this app-driven one is so clever.
AI obviously as a general industry is always going to improve, and it's always going to learn, which is obviously simultaneously exciting and fucking harrowing because there's always that risk that it might learn just that little bit too much. Before you know it, it's not even inviting you to play.
The Terminator game's on Kickstarter.
Yeah. It's going to say, and then one day it doesn't even invite you around to play.
It's fine for a computer to beat me at chess, but it's when it starts putting my face on my king.
Yeah. Your metaphors are weird. The other one we're playing is the Arkham Horror Living card game.
Okay.
Which is, and it's a weird one because it feels like part card game, part board game, part choose your own adventure game. It doesn't play like a conventional LCG like the Star Wars one, or the Lord of the Rings one, kind of, I guess. But it doesn't feel like a co-op, a competitive card game because it is scenario driven. You can play it co-op or you can play it one player. But there's some cards are on the board which are like the rooms of the house you're investigating. There's an AI deck running what's turning up, what mystical things are happening, and you're not really burning through or building a deck like you do with something like Legendary. It's almost like these are things which happen in this story you're playing this time.
Okay.
It's so strange. It needs to be played really because it is just so hard to kind of. I'm calling it a card game is like a borderline misnomer because the cards are cards in it. There are cards in it, but there's also board game bits in it. And at the end, there are bits we've come across, and it's been at the end of the first level. Mind the spoilers. It gives you an option as to whether to set fire to a building or not.
Right.
And that affects how the next scenario starts.
Always, yes.
The way the campaign works is almost like a Telltale game. When you get to the end of the first scenario, it goes like, you did this, X will remember that. You did this, you can start the next level with this item. It's super clever.
That's pretty cool.
Really smart.
Yeah.
Speaking of Telltale, you guys excited for Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, I might get that one. That one I got tempted by that.
I've played the first episode of the Batman one, and I think the story it tells is probably interesting, but it didn't quite grab me enough for me to go, I have to play this right now. It's one of those ones I can wait for it to drop in price a bit.
It's currently on sale on PSN.
It's good. How much for, do you know?
£10 for a season pass.
Is that with Plus?
Yeah, they've been getting me with that lately.
I don't know.
They had an offer on Battlefield 1, which I played at Joe Crouch's house. And I was like, cool, I want this. I can't quite afford it right now.
Yeah. And
they put it on offer. I was like, I can afford now. I've got to buy that to get that price. It was still on offer, but not at a price I could afford yet. So.
You will struggle with PS Plus in your Xbox as well.
Yeah. But no, it wasn't PS. It was
Gold.
No, I had gold. Actually, I didn't have gold for ages. Yeah, EA Access. You could get.
Still totally worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it was just again strapped.
How much is EA Access?
£20 a year.
Oh,
and you get all
it.
the American sports games.
Oh, nice.
And you get the sort of the most recent ones. You tend to get. I mean, when do they come out? September, October time.
You tend to
start
the season.
You tend to get. I mean, to give you an idea, FIFA 16 came out in September, and you got it the following April for free.
Okay.
So if you're willing to wait, if you're not desperate for stats,
if you're not stat obsessed,
which is true of me. Obviously, I just download the latest version of each of the American sports on my Xbox, and I have a copy.
You still get football manager games on consoles, maybe PC, really.
PC mostly. I mean, because they're mobile.
Mostly a spreadsheet,
Yeah, because they're mobile as well.
Oh, okay.
You don't tend to find. I think they just don't see the market on consoles. Although having said that, Fallout Shelter is out on consoles.
Is it really?
Which I find a really odd choice because it's a game where you click a few things and then leave it.
Yeah, which is more akin to a mobile game or something.
Yeah, it doesn't really suit
there's an option fast forward time like Sims or something. You could go to double speed to wait out some stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
Because if you're not, can you still buy premium content or get gold? Because I bought
Get gold.
I had Sims on the GameCube.
Yeah.
Now you can fast forward time in games like that because all you're doing is fast forwarding what you've already set up.
Yeah.
But if it's a game like Tiny Death Star or something where you can buy gold to do something, you kind of they don't want you to do that because you won't pay.
I know what you mean. But yeah, phone wise, I'm not playing any of those games at the moment because I have this game. I'll show you guys.
I don't know.
Oh, nice.
So the original Knights of the Old Republic.
Do you want to know? So a friend of mine used to play that.
Tell you what.
Religiously. Yeah. But he used to. He didn't have a speech impediment or anything, but he said it so fast that I didn't think he was playing a Star Wars game.
It's pretty good.
It sounded like Knights of the Old Republic when he used to say it. That does look pretty sweet.
Yeah. I was just showing the guys.
That looks about right.
KOTOR is out on mobile.
Yeah. It's been out for quite a while. It's just I managed to get it for stupidly cheap.
KOTOR 2 work properly?
I've not seen it make its way there, but I'd like it to because I've never played KOTOR 2.
I always look at games like that, and World of Tanks is another one that I look at it and I go, God, we can do that. Why are people still playing with this game? You know, like not saying like gem games like Tetris style games. They've got their own niche because people like those sort of puzzles.
Everton, their chance to play Tetris.
But what? Yeah, that's true.
Obsessed with Tetris.
Why are there not more like World of Tanks is a really good HD game where you've got upgradable tanks, you play in real time with other players, and the other games just settle.
Still playing Arkham Horror card games.
Yeah, exactly. No, people just settle for games like it that aren't so great.
Yeah.
Like there's a game
Tank Blitz.
Yeah. There's a version of Worms where you have little tanks, and I'm like, just get Worms. Like, do you know what I mean? Worms is awesome.
Get Worms.
Ruboade.
Sure as my name is Ruboade.
Just get Worms. It's like there's a game I've played since the last time. Okay. I downloaded Golden Axe for my iPad.
Nice.
And finished the motherfucker.
Nice.
I never did it back in the day.
Nice.
That's the one. I did it, and I got to the level I'd never finished before, the big boss at the end. Finished it. That's the fucker. And realised how much more there was to the game.
How could you remember that? But you couldn't remember enough to pass your history GCSE, Brad.
Took me about another 2 weeks to completely finish it. And I'll tell you what, what's really hard compared to modern games? No fucking save. Yeah. Start again if you fail. Yeah. That really made me appreciate the old style game.
You know the NES Classic that came out just before Christmas, the one that's like fucking gold dust because they literally only made a certain number.
Yeah.
No, that one.
Nintendo?
I know.
Not making enough?
Well, this one is actually, it set out to make, let's say
you can't spell Nintendo without none.
That's
what the religious. No, you.
Oh yeah. Dyslexia.
Can't even spell dyslexia right.
Stupid dyslexia.
Dyslexia.
We're tired.
Suplex.
I can't suplex a dyspraxic.
Yeah, but so the Nintendo NES Classic that came out like before Christmas. That's built-in save slots. So it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, there's no threat.
No.
I'll try this jump even though I don't need to. No, don't try the jump.
No.
Yeah. I was saying Doom at the moment as well, but I can only play in
the new Doom?
But the PS4 one.
I need to play that.
I can only play it in like 20-minute bursts. It's giving me mad motion sickness.
I believe it. Yeah, I watched Blake play it. It's fucking intense.
I find I don't often get motion sickness in video games, but if I do, I get it hard and I get it fast. And that one is set like I can only play about 20 minutes before I've got to start.
Fair enough.
Which is a shame because I'm really enjoying it.
It's supposed to be brilliant.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. But it's going to take me a while to complete.
I watched Blake play and it looks great. It looks like a lot of fun. It's over there. I have cleared down the game collection recently, but it is over there.
Yeah. He's got the tabletop version as well.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, in fact, plays quite a lot of Gears.
So do I somewhere.
Plays quite a lot of the Gears game, which is good because the Gears game was awesome.
Gears game's fucking great.
I've got a game. I just remember I got a game for Christmas. I haven't really had time to play it that much. I've got Stick of Truth.
Nice.
The South Park game.
So fucking good.
So I want to sit down. Obviously, having a little one. Like, what's great for me is like Star Wars Battlefront, World of Tanks, because I can sit and have 2-3 games a session, if you like, and then I'm done. But that game I really want to sit down and concentrate on, like actually play. So I haven't had time, but I played like the intro and like the first little mission, and Jesus Christ, I was going to wet myself.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
There's loads of great fan service stuff there.
So
as well.
right.
I'm not a huge South Park guy, but I recognise things like if you know when they're exploring houses and in Cartman's closet you see the coon costume and stuff.
Yeah, like that. Loads of stuff. I reminded how much I love South Park whenever I'm anywhere near anything to do with it.
Yeah, it's
I was at the age where when South Park was first like released that I was too young to be allowed to watch it, but we still did. Like our mums were like, "Okay, let me watch it. Just you make sure you ask me if there's anything you don't understand."
Yeah, I was about 15 or 16 when it first kind of showed up on whatever channel I had, and it was kind of I was probably a bit too young for it, but I was old enough for it. But my parents didn't like it, but I was old enough.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Away in school of like being rebellious was we had ties when I was in my school had a tertiary system of schools. Where I was from, so instead of just like primary, secondary, we had primary, secondary, and then we just called it big school, but it was tertiary, I guess, because we didn't know a big word like that.
Metric?
Yeah, that's the one. But our thing like being rebellious in middle school was to have like Cartman pin badges.
Yeah,
okay.
Always Cartman.
Ours was actually a tie as short as possible.
Yeah, we did
so
that.
You look like a policewoman.
We did that, but we had different. You just killed Rob.
Sometimes he opens his mouth and the sentence starts, and the bit at the end is so far from what I was expecting.
It's like a cut and shunt bus.
Yeah,
There's a limo at the front, and there's a Vauxhall Vector at the back.
My brain went, no, no, you can't have it.
We had almost like gangs that specified how you wore your tie.
Right.
So there was a group it was often girls that had the really short tie.
It wasn't exactly the Crips and the Bloods.
It wasn't, no. It was the girls that normally had the really short tie. That was seen as kind of sexy.
Okay.
Because they'd have short skirts as well, so I guess it was that. But my sort of crew was we'd have our ties reasonably long, like business length, but we would tuck them into the second button.
Okay.
And it was because a lot of us, we made friends because we all met in like tech and woodwork class and stuff like that. So we were actually told to tuck our ties. So we used to come to school, so obviously they don't get caught in machines. We used to come to school with them already tucked in because we were that group of friends. I just remember, there was the guys who had them really long, the guys who came to school already fucking peanutted. So that you couldn't do it.
That was why we used to wear our ties in.
Yeah. You can't get peanutted if even a short tie can get peanutted.
Fun aside, incidentally, on speaking of peanuts, is every time I get dressed up for a fucking wedding.
Oh really?
She peanuts me.
Nice.
Yeah,
good one.
So I just pointed to the other room.
Yeah,
for the listeners.
By the time, so my sister's my sister's 2 years younger than me. By the time she was wearing a tie in. So that wasn't in middle school. That was in mid college. That was in the tertiary school. We used to wear our tie, big school. Yeah. By the time my sister got to school, it was about having. So you had to have a massive. The knot had to be huge.
A huge ruff.
Hello. The square of the tie had to be huge.
Yeah.
The tongue, if you like, had to be tiny. But you had to have it low, like a necklace. Mm-hmm. You couldn't have it up by your throat. I just remember, like a scarf almost. Yeah. That was the same. Do you remember when girls used to wear scarves like a fucking neck brace? Yeah. They couldn't look down. That was about that sort of period in time as well. Yeah. That was a fun game to play because this is the.
So how do we get from going to
South Park? Yeah, they wear scarves.
There's not far. I think the new one's not far off.
The fractured butthole.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. No. I was like, that's a weird name.
Took me a couple of.
Yeah, it was Charlotte, my missus, who pointed it out. She was like, that's funny. I was like, what? She was like, butthole. I'm like, oh, it's the fractured butthole. That's really clever because they will get anything. South Park and the Masters are getting
so well. Superheroes.
I think it was superheroes.
You guys have a chance to go and see Book of Mormon? Absolutely do it.
I've got.
I've never had the pleasure.
Was it
on my list?
I think it was South Park the movie. To get certain things past the censor, they pushed things that were far worse.
Yeah.
And then they went, no, can you just have Satan rogering Saddam Hussein, please? Yeah. I went, yeah, sure, fine. But there were some bits that they didn't want in the movie that got passed.
Yeah.
And if they'd pulled them, they would have had to tone down the rest of the movie. Yeah. So those guys look at that movie and like, oh, we really didn't want that bit in there, but we had to put it.
Hammy used to do that on purpose. They would put in an extra gory scene because if they just put the film in, the censors would be, well, with censors we've got to justify the fact here and cut a bit out, so they would have put in a bit for the censors to cut out.
Yeah. Didn't mind losing. But sometimes they get left in, and that's the majority apparently. By the time South Park the movie rolled around, they were like, oh, fuck you, Trey, and like, you do what you like.
Yeah. You scamps.
That's pretty much what Family Guy does now.
Pretty much.
They rarely get anything pulled.
No.
Because they know
exactly what will.
Yeah, they just put this in, and they even the ones where they're singing about the censors and stuff like that, they rarely get it done.
Yeah, they've never had a good game, have they? Family Guy.
I had their first
games
one.
Are really hard to do. I mean, I've not played the South Park one, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah,
that is notable as being an exception.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, some point-and-click games can be quite funny.
Yeah.
I had the first South Park, the first Family Park game, I think, on the original Xbox.
Family Park.
Yeah, Family Park. The first Family Guy game on the original Xbox, and that was a series of like mini games. Yeah, it was like mini game platformer with a plot, and that was okay because if you didn't like the level where Brian had to sneak through the police station, you'd like the one where Peter had to eat all the coins or whatever. Like it was a series of like party games. So that wasn't bad. It wasn't great. And then they had the Quest for Stuff on mobile that apparently is very good.
Yeah, it's like tapped out.
Yeah, but people are really. My missus playing.
Oh, my sister's mad for those games.
Yeah,
absolutely tapped out. Especially.
Charlotte's got one at the minute that actually had a name change, but it was just called Sheep. And you ran a farm, and you just and I was like, She played the other day. I was like, how many sheep have you got? And she's like, oh, 25. And I was like, you just got to upkeep your sheep or something like that.
That's a good slogan.
And like 2 days later, I was like, how many sheep have you got? She was like, 7.5 million. I was like, okay, this has got a bit weird.
That's no way to run a business.
But the game generates you a username, and she was intense horse. It evidently just uses like a word and then an animal.
I reckon on the biggest sheep farm in the world, there is a horse behind the desk just going, more fucking coffee!
More sheep! My main joke to myself is whenever I'm allowed to give myself a call sign in a game, I go for horse rapist.
Nice.
And sometimes I go like, no one's ever going to see this. Who am I amusing? Yeah, yet I still do it. Like I played a U-boat tabletop game. It was a solo, again, like a branching choose your adventure game. And I was Commandant Fairveld Tiger, so I looked up horse rapist in German.
That's dedication to the running game.
I couldn't remember enough to pass my history GCSE.
I was used
to be fair, you would have had to know German.
Yeah. It was on Pokemon.
How do you do in German?
On Pokemon, I always used to make it so that they said funny things. Like mine or my opponent's name was
Cockbag.
Yeah, something like that.
Surprise, Cockbag.
Or my penis was another one, so that your grand Professor Oak would be like, "Oh, of course, it's my penis. You've been beaten by my penis."
I remember Blake playing Final Fantasy VII. Minor spoiler. You meet a character called Red 13.
They've had ages.
Yeah, I know it's being relaunched as well.
Oh, playing it.
No, it's been remade, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you haven't yet played it, there's a character called Red 13, and he's been living in the science laboratory for so long, and he says, for people here, call me Red 13. If it is a name that has no meaning for me, you may call me what you like. And Blake called him Red 12.
That's Garvin Trace.
That's a little trolls ever.
Blake is, when it comes to games, Blake is one of the subtle masters of trolling. I know we've told this story before, but I still love it. The breakout clone. Yeah. He made this clone. I feel like you've probably heard this story. So Blake had this.
It's just like Arkham.
Blake made this clone using, what was it? Just like a basic game.
Oh, just like a play, I think.
Yeah. So he made Breakout.
Yes.
But the ball, the velocity of the ball decreased fractionally every time it bounced. And eventually it got to a point where it just did a dead stop. And a message came up that said, "You've had enough fun."
That's great. That's so cool. Oh, my Mrs. Charlotte, she loves playing Sims 3. She might be on Sims 4 again in a minute.
Yeah.
So the other day she was playing and I was, Daisy was in bed. It was a rare moment of us sitting on the sofa together. I think I was watching something on TV, maybe fiddling on my mobile, and she's playing Sims. And I see her bring up a spreadsheet, and she loves her spreadsheets. She absolutely loves a spreadsheet when she's playing a game. Even if she's doing household chores, she'll have a spreadsheet and like, okay, I've done the washing up, tick. She just likes to keep everything organised like that.
Fair enough.
And I see her bring up a spreadsheet, and I kind of like, she's playing a game, so I'm going to kind of finally mock her about it. And I'm like, "What, have you got a spreadsheet for Sims?" She's like, "No." I'm like, you've got a spreadsheet for Sims. I saw numbers. What is that, like their income and how much like their bills are costing them? And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Let's have a look." I was like, "Cool, what's..." Like, and I'm interested. I'm like, that's really clever. I mean, she does really similar with our income at home, like to work out where the money's going and everything.
I know she's a fan of it.
Yeah, so it just helps her feel like more in control if she's got everything in control, I guess. And I'm like, what's the second column? She's like, oh, I've got 2 houses. I was like, oh, that one, there are less people in that one. She's like, no, that's that one's sister. I'm like, there's a lot less. And she's like, yeah, there's a rich house and a poor house. And I'm just making sure they stay that way. I'm like, what? She's like, well, I don't want the poor house to get more money. I need them to be poor. I was like, you're keeping that house poor? Like, yeah, she earns a bit more, but I make sure they waste lots of money so they stay poor. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? She's like, it's okay, she's going to move in with her sister and then they'll be rich and she'll be happy because she'll have all this stuff she's not had.
I have heard.
Like, how long have you been playing this game? She's like, in-game 4 years.
The theological implications of the Sims are terrifying.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you look at statistics, there are some that bear that out.
Yeah. And actually, I thought it was quite a clever play, like that she'd then be able to get the points for making, or whatever, for making this character happy, because for 4 years in game she hadn't been able to afford all this stuff. She moves in with her sister, they pull their resources, and the outgoing doesn't go up, therefore they're all happy.
So what happened?
And it was a cool way of clever, but I don't know if she's yet got to the point where they've moved in. I say moved in. You got to do is build a corridor between 2 houses, really.
Yeah.
We can do an episode on Sims stories. I'll do one of mine quickly.
Mine quickly. The most famous book.
I made a serial killer.
Oh, right.
One of the expenses was you could go to the town, you can make friends, you can ring them up and invite them to come and stay over. And so what I used to do was I had a serial killer who was a bit weird and had got an oddly decorated house. And he would invite people over, wall them up in a 1-by-1 square until they died, and then you would take the urn and put them in the garden. And so you just had this plot out the backside. And by the time I finished playing, he had 132 graves in the back garden. The way it ended for him was that he was so haunted by the ghosts of his victims that he couldn't sleep and went mad and died. And I maintain that is the single most metal thing anyone has ever done with The Sims.
I think that must be up there.
It's up there.
Yeah,
it's up there. I'm trying to remember any of the. There was a post I saw, or there was a Reddit post or something about a guy who he had made, like, he tweaked. If anybody's ever seen the YouTuber Robaz play The Sims,
right,
all of his characters have like hilariously big ears, like elephant-sized ears and stuff like that. They're all grotesque. Yeah. So when they have children, it's just like a fucking massacre of a face. But he basically did that, and he made a little green man, right, as short as possible. And he had a family of perfectly normal, and the little green fella was their son, right? And he locked him in the basement and got him really, really good at art. And the family were millionaires because he was, now you'll get this, he was selling the art that he produced for millions, thousands, whatever the sum would be for that. So the family were rolling in it, right? And he had a fridge down there, and the fridge stocks itself and everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So this family lived upstairs with all the amenities and all the wonderful things in life, cars and money and boats and pools. But their secret was that the house was built on this poor, trapped little gremlin who was painting for them to supply them with their life. That might be the most disturbing yet intriguing version of The Sims I want to see made into a movie.
Yeah, that is an enormous list.
Yeah.
Me and Blake have been playing for ages with ourselves, Sim versions of ourselves sharing a house.
You got
and after a while, we made 4 women to move into a house with potential wives and girlfriends. On the very first day they arrived, one of them went to work. The second one started cooking and proceeded to burn the house down, including the 3 women inside. The other one returned from work and left in one day. And when you're an 18-year-old with not much success with women, that's crushing.
Even my Sims are leaving.
I'm trying to think that a lot of mine can be just summed up in really quick sentences, like once in The Sims 2, I made my dad gay for no reason.
Making people in any game like that, from like wrestling games you can beat up that prick at school, to The Sims making your family but giving them weird relationships. Great.
It was just one of the things. I made my dad's, and I was going to make my sister, but I think at the time she was a bit heavier and the sliders were all anyway. So my dad's. Me and my dad shared this house, and we obviously had separate rooms because it wasn't that kind of Sims relationship. But he started bringing friends home from work, and what I couldn't help but notice is they were all black.
Did you make them gay? You gave them a sort of black, I guess not a fetish, but
just a
liking for black people.
But affectation.
Yes, I just kind of, I was, in my mind, I was like, I should, introduce him to some girls. And then something else in my brain went, wait a minute. Let's see what happens next. And sure enough, within about a couple of days, my dad was a gayer.
We'd won that today. Somebody, you get the people on Facebook like, I'm going to marry this celebrity.
Yeah.
Like somebody put up about.
Did Jimmy have a container this week?
No, yeah, similar to that. There was some one of the girls on the feed that was like, oh, I'm going to marry, Tom Hiddleston's mine, leave off. And I was like, doubt you will. He doesn't really swing your way. And I was like. He's not gay, is he? For some reason, I thought Tom Hiddleston...
he's just an actor.
For some reason, I thought Tom Hiddleston was gay, and then I realised, fucking hell, Loki really is a trickster, isn't he?
Well,
I don't know where I got the idea that he was. That was a really weird one, to know.
And speaking of Tom Hiddleston not being gay, I think it's time to end the E14 Gamecast for this episode. So thank you to Omer Ibrahim.
Hello, Tom Hiddleston. Sorry.
Bye, Tom Hiddleston.
Slander.
And Brad Barnes.
I propose a Let's Play of Mansions of Madness.
Can I invite Tom Hiddleston?
If we can figure that out logistically, then I'm going.
Big black gay Tom Hiddleston.
And on that note, big black gay Tom Hiddleston.
I haven't done my bit yet.
Okay. You've been listening to E14 Gamecast. You can check us out on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, and YouTube.
On the back of a big black gay Tom Hiddleston in prison.
I'm Rob Wade. You can keep up with what I'm doing at Rob Wade Vision on Twitter, and also Emotionally14 on Twitter or on Instagram.
Nah, just me. Rob
Vision.
I don't post very often.
You can search for Emotionally 14.
You mean you don't post? Who are you now?
Omer here is at fuck's sake Blake on Twitter.
I do love to fuck Blake on Twitter.
And I'm at Grost.
And Brad is at Brad HB, the extreme.
I'm in Brighton this weekend. Does that count? What? I don't know the X-Wing tournament.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Is there any reason he leaves the island anymore?
Yeah, pretty much.
Fabulous X-Wing tournaments.
Yeah.
With Tom Hiddleston.
Better promise him a B-Wing.
I'm flying Black One.
If you know what I mean. Yeah. Anyway, so you've been listening to the E14 Gamecast. If you enjoyed what you've heard, then recommend us to a friend. Why not?
Just one.
Just one. And then they'll tell a friend, and then they'll tell a friend, and it's the slowest growth I could possibly imagine.
Shittiest pyramid
somehow not the worst.
Ever.
So you can review, rate, and subscribe on iTunes. We're also on YouTube, Stitcher, as Brad mentioned. Joking aside. Because that threw me a bit.
What is Stitcher Radio?
It's just another platform, really. But who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Is it alright? No,
there's so many fucking podcasting platforms, it's impossible to keep up.
Hello, I'm the podcast. Here we are with my favourite puddles of the day.
Get Pud.
Get pudgy.
Yeah. So you can find us at emotionally14.com, emotionally14 on Twitter, emotionally14 on Facebook, emotionally14 on YouTube, and the social media accounts we just mentioned.
If you type in 14 somewhere, we might turn up.
Omer's at the Iron Turk Omer on Twitter.
Yeah, if you want.
The thing. Brad,
you should get on Instagram. You're really good for your models.
Yeah,
would be good. Yeah. Brad, you're real Brad HB.
Yep.
And Suppression
Fire. That's Sean Connery's rip-off channel, the bastard.
Welcome.
Not gay black Sean Connery.
Let's play Red October.
It's a board game.
I've painted this X-wing in blue.
Where's he from?
I'm so tired.
Is he chewing a wasp?
I'm fucking...
And suppressing-fire.com is the website I was trying to get out before my tongue tried to jump out of my face.
That's quickly.
Thank you for listening to the E14 Gamecast, Emotionally 14 production. Get out of my house.
We love you.
Leave. Beep, beep.
Nice.